put out anyone who wants to be an administrator. If you're working towards becoming an administrator, or for that matter, a counselor, I'm going to meet with people after school tomorrow, and we're going to talk about ways to find opportunities for you to gain some more experience and broaden your exposure to things, okay? So if you're interested, I'll meet with you in the conference room right after around 3 o'clock tomorrow, and I'll get your names and some preliminary information, okay? There is a sign-up sheet here, though, so if you're interested, you're working on your admin, you're in a program, or you're at the point where you're thinking about pursuing, you may want to come and just get some general information. It's going to be a quick meeting tomorrow, but there's a sign-up sheet up here. 16 is Sunshine Fund. We've had several staff members who have lost parents since school started, and I don't know how aware people are of that or not, but on previous campuses I've had a committee who kind of oversaw that, made sure babies, marriages, deaths, you know, we try to cover our staff members. So if anyone wants to be on that committee, there is a sign-up sheet up here by me at the end of the meeting, okay? It will, and I'll probably have to end up meeting, or one of the APs will meet with that committee on how to get funds set up, a budget line, and all that good stuff. So if you're interested in participating on that committee, please sign up after the meeting. And then I want to start, I don't know if it's been previously done, but I want to start it this year, Professional and Paraprofessional of the Month. So let me talk about that a little bit, and also I need committee members for that. So these are ways to participate, help our culture and climate in school with staff. And Para and Professional of the Month, we took nominations right before a staff meeting where people wrote down how that person contributed or what they did to make our school a better place. And the committee looked at the nominations, and the committee chose a para and a professional, and we announced it at the staff meeting. So I would like to start that this year. Again, if you're interested in being one of those committee members, sign up here before you leave. Okay, we're going to start with Ms. Cohn, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about CPS referral and that process. We briefly went over that before school started, but since then we've had a hurricane and other things, so we're going to refresh your memory on what you need to do to attend to those particular students.
Good afternoon. I'm going to be very briefly because I'm also going to stay for the meeting, so if I go long, that means that I have to stay longer, right? We as professionals need to only be, to have reason to believe that the child is being abused. What type of abuses can you detect in classrooms? Anybody? Physical, because it's the easiest one, because you see the bruises, you see the scratches, the cuts. What else? How can you detect emotional abuse in classrooms? Okay, so you have the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, what other?
Neglect.
Neglect. How can you detect that? But that is also a sign of sexual abuse. You all knew that, right?
No.
No. Let me tell you why. Because if I don't wash, if I'm not clean, am I stinking, smelly? Do you want to touch me? So that's more not just neglect, but as a sign of sexual abuse. Okay. When you're ready to report, when you suspect this, okay, or when a child actually opens up and tells you, you know, at home I don't feel safe at home because this is happening, it is your duty to report it. It is your duty. If you have never done it and you want our help, we have the counselors and myself who can guide you through the whole process. But it's your duty to do it. Now, I have had many, it never fails once a year. or twice a year that somebody will come into my office. During first period, so-and-so told me this. What do? Well, you need to report it. And you come to me at the end of the day and the child is already home. So that's very concerning. So be aware that you are to report it. Now, if you come and tell me, I think I can get the child to my office and we can talk. But the children, our students, they are more easily open up to you because you have them every other day for a longer period of time. So you are the number one person they're going to talk to. Okay? I have done a lot of CPS reporting, and let me tell you, I don't notify usually our principal first because I don't ever find them available. And I have an office, I don't supervise students, I don't have a class through the whole day. So you have to make a judgment call. Do I have somebody cover my class so I can go talk to the principal, or I just report it? You know, by law, you have 48 hours to report it, but in our meeting policy is 24 hours. So since you all work here, so we have only 24 hours to report it, okay? You notify your principal, you notify the nurse. If it's a physical abuse, I usually watch the student to the nurse. You might not have that freedom. So you need to shoot a nurse an email, can you come to my classroom? And maybe she can come to your classroom and take the student to her office and examine the student. She's the only person in our campus that can actually see the student without clothes. Okay? So be aware of that. Now, if you see, you all were supposed to get a handout at the entrance. The very last page that was in that handout is my checkout list. Okay? When I already did the report, I make sure that I check all this and who you talk to and at what time, what date. Okay? Not all the cases are going to be emergency cases. I have been 6 years, and I have never had an emergency case for CPS. Most of my reporting have been online. When you finish your report online, you print 3 copies. One for your file, one is for the nurse, and one is for the academic counselor. Okay? And that last page, when I don't have to go and tell the students, and I did this reporting, that's for notification, that page. What I do, so I have proof that I notify everybody that needs to be notified, I scan this page, last page, and I email them to everybody that I spoke to. If I talk to the nurse, if I talk to the teacher, if I talk to the principal, if I talk to the police, everybody I talk to in reference to this child here in our school is going to get a copy of that page. Not a copy of the report, but a copy of that page. Okay? The notification, you notify your principal, you notify the nurse, and if possible, if it's needed, and our principal, Ms. Peterson, tell us we need to tell the police, then we do. Okay? Otherwise, the police don't need to know. The action. In that form, we take action. You contact CPS. Now, I've been here 6 years, and I have actually only contacted CPS by phone once. That was because I already had a case with that child, and that morning the child came and let me know that there are now 4 guns at the house, so I picked up the phone and I did call CPS. And I had the case number, so right away they were able to follow through. But most of our cases, your cases are going to be through online, unless you feel more comfortable doing on the phone. But let me tell you, whether you report it on the phone or you report it online, it's going to take you 15 to 30 minutes. It's not just something you need time to call or to do the typing. You're going to need 15 to 30 minutes. You're going to, before you do the reporting, make sure that you have the student demographics, because they're going to ask you addresses, birthdays, who lives at the house, did it happen in the house. They're going to ask you everything, and you're going to type anything of what you think is important. And if the child discloses something to you, You're gonna type exactly what the child told you. No things that you think. Yes, ma'am?
If the child denies it, and you can see the bruises and they still deny it, then doesn't have the evidence.
You still report it. Because let me tell you, in our school, especially our female students, that they're not only being abused at home, they can also be abused by the boyfriend. So whatever happens, we don't know. We just need to protect the child. We're not investigators, okay? We just reporting our concerns. Yeah? Once you submit your report online, right when you submit it, they're gonna give you a reference number. Okay, that is not the case number. It's a reference number stating the report was submitted. Later on, that same day, like within less than 5 minutes, CPS is going to shoot you an email with a case number. That's the number that goes on the very last page that you're going to give everybody. That's the number of the case, okay? Once we do that, CPS will contact us. They will come to our school, and everything that needs to be done prior for the CPS investigators to see the student or to come talk to any of us, the front office have already taken their ID, their badge number, and everything. So by the time they come into our school, they're already okay to talk to you or to the student. Okay? They're only gonna need a private area. Usually they use the counselor's office or my office. Okay? After that is done, the following day or days after that, you have to check on the child to make sure that the child is okay. Reporting cases to CPS is anonymous. You don't have to tell the child, I'm going to report your case to CPS. Nobody has to report. You don't have to tell anybody that you did the reporting. You do have to write your name on the report online, but they don't even look at that. They will come to you because you were the first one there. Now let me tell you, if you do not report it and you just kind of let me know, and I do the reporting, I am going to write in that report that you told me. That what I'm reporting is according to what you told me. Because if something happens, you were the first to know and you didn't report it. Okay? Questions? And on the last slide, I give them the number for CPS and the hotline, the Aldine Police line, HPD line, and the sheriff's line. Just in case you need that. Any questions? No?
Is that, do we have that handout?
Yes.
This is in the Google file with the agenda. Okay, so this information has been shared with you in that same file. And please remember, you're ethically bound to report if you suspect abuse. You need to report it. We will help you. We will walk you through it. But we need to follow, that's the law, that we need to do that because during the day, we act in the role of the student's parents. So we have to make sure that we are looking out for our students. But if you do have questions, see a counselor, administrator, Ms. Cone, we will help you through that. Okay, next up, Dr. Halbert is going to go over evacuation plans, student IDs. So next couple of things on our agenda.
Fantastic. Well, you know, when you're the new guy, when you're told, oh, you get IDs, and then everybody in the room laughs at you. And then you find out, yeah, I want to laugh now, too. So 2,500 IDs later, we're ready to start issuing them, and they've been going out today, so some of you may have already seen them. We had a plan for distribution. That wasn't going so well, so we changed. We had another plan for distribution. That wasn't going so well, so we changed. And so now we are literally delivering each ID individually to each student, so they're all going to get them. If by chance you have a student that was absent or didn't get an ID, just tell them, find Dr. Halbert sometime. We do have a plan in place where we'll gather up all of those that we don't have, And the idea is to have all students to have all IDs by next Monday. So you can start writing them up if they don't have their IDs next Monday. We have in place a plan for late arrivals and early arrivals. We'll be working on those next week. We also are printing the IDs for the athletics, and that's all going to happen next week. Now, what about teachers? Well, we did have a plan in place that the district was supposed to supply the new magnetic IDs, but we don't know where on the list we are for that. So next week as well, we'll begin taking pictures for faculty and getting new IDs as well. Any questions on IDs?
So I've had several students and the picture is not the student. The name is one thing where there's like a few boys. It's their name with girls' picture. Should I go on to the IDs? I've been giving them to the students and I'm telling them go tell your AP because I didn't know who to give it to.
So the process was to get a lot of people involved to help move through quickly. There are going to be some mistakes. I apologize for that. If you find a mistake, it's a lot better if you hold on to that ID and give it back to me. That way I can make sure that it gets fixed. If you give it to the student, there's no guarantee that it's going to get fixed. So with that in mind, when you're handing the IDs to the students, they're your students, make sure that the picture and the name match. I would greatly appreciate that. Say again.
The kids that were absent, they had the picture and then they never went to get it. Would it email you the name?
No, don't email me the names. We're going to set up during the lunch period and allow them to come and get their pictures taken. You don't have to worry about them. Just if by next Monday they don't have an ID, you got to see Dr. Howard. Okay? Any other questions on IDs? Target is next Monday. Terrific. The next item on the agenda for me is the emergency evacuation plan. We've had to make some changes. Went around in the downstairs floor and I looked around and couldn't find all but one map. Then it dawned on me there were renovations and they all got taken out. So I got the great task of redoing all of the maps. And we'll be redoing them all again next year. Right now for this year we have our construction going on, and when they started that wing up there in the corner, up there, they blocked off an exit that was a major exit ramp for the 600 and the 700 wing. They're now having to be rerouted down between the portable buildings. Now there's always an urge when you're taking your students out for an evacuation to take the shortest path, the one where there's no line, the one where there is nobody. I really have to ask portable ones, temporary buildings 1, 2, 3, 4, and 12, and 13, please resist the urge of going south and out the ramp. I know you're going to want to. There's going to be daylight, and you're going to see nobody there. But as soon as those 8 rooms, 12 rooms start moving down onto that ramp, you're going to block everybody else that's in the building from getting out. So please, temporary buildings, go up to the O, M, N, and O areas. Head out towards the baseball fields. Even if it looks crowded, we still have to have that room because this is our bottleneck. In our last quasi-fire drill, this is where we have the most trouble. So there are 2 exits along that area. There's the actual physical wooden ramp itself, and then there's the grass area between the band and the wooden ramp. Anybody south in the 300, 400 wing, 700, 800 wing is going to stay on the grassy area and go out. If you're in the 500 or the 600 area, then you're going to take that ramp to go out. That is my biggest area of concern right now in getting everyone out. We've made new maps for all of the ground floor. They should be posted in your rooms. They were all delivered. They should be 36 inches away from the door, and no more, no less. They need to be close to the door, but not on the door. I've seen some people put the maps on the door. They cannot go on the door. They can go on either side of the door, preferably 36 inches away. Every classroom must have a map. If I missed you, please email me. If you haven't put up your map yet, please put your map up. If you're in the second floor, it's coming. And I think that's it. Anybody have any questions on maps and evacuation routes? Awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Howard. And Dr. Howard spent his whole weekend printing IDs. You want to give him a round of applause? With everything else going on, that was one more thing that had to get done. And as we move further into the school year, our days are filling up with other things. So thank you, Dr. Howard, for getting that done. Okay, so I'm back on number 4. Okay, we're back on the agenda. So number 4 is a reminder that you need to, we did that merge with Frontline and ASOP. Please make sure that's working so you don't find yourself really ill one morning and nothing's working, ASOP's not working, and then it delays us in trying to cover classes or get your information together. So please make sure you check that. Dress code for students is still, according to the school board, on suspension. So let me explain that, because you may hear that. But we got another email today. So yesterday, we kind of put everyone back in line for dress code, right? We kind of started mentioning that last week. APs went to first period classes yesterday. And anyone who was out of dress code tried to touch base with to find out if they were affected by the flood or their extenuating circumstances. We were trying to work with those students. But we're not going to sack kids up for that right now. We're not going to, because there are still students that we don't know about. The survey that went out, we asked students to get online and fill out the survey last Friday, the 3rd period. So 1,200 students responded. 1,200. Okay, so that's not giving me a total picture. However, out of the 1,200, 280 students indicated that they were affected or displaced by flooding. So I know that number was bigger than 280, and they may just not want us to know who they are, and that's fine. However, we're trying to be a little more lenient with dress code than normal. But if you suspect that a student may need connection with resources or may need to talk to somebody, please let an AP or a counselor know. And then we can try to hook them up with services if necessary. We've had an issue number 6, sending students late to another class where you write them a pass and you have elected to take someone else's class time. You don't have that authority. Please do not do that. Okay? I can't take a student, if I'm an English teacher, I can't take them out of math class to do something for me. Don't take them out of, unless you've communicated with that teacher prior and you've had a conversation with that student's teacher that they need to stay with you or they need to complete something or they're helping you with something, but please don't take them out of someone else's class. Because you may not know the whole picture in the other class. You may not know what's going All right, 7, classroom discipline. So we're starting to get discipline referrals. Kids are starting to get back in their comfort zone a little bit. So if you deem it necessary to send a student down for discipline, I'm just going to remind you, there's a couple of things you need to keep in mind. One, you can write them up on paper or you can email. And some of the APs would rather get an email. The problem is if that AP is at a meeting off campus, it's going to an AP and it may not land. You've got to copy someone else or secretaries when you send that. If you send it by paper, we're going to try to make sure we give you feedback on what happened with that student. If you send it by email, they'll respond with email. So as we go through, we may come up with a better system. And we've been talking about that, trying to do something more electronic so we're not dealing with paper. Because sometimes they don't make it down to the office, they disappear somewhere and then just show up to their next class. So, we have to continue to work on that. When you do write a referral, please make sure that you are putting the specific issue, describe it, and be concise. When we get mad, we tend to want to write a lot because we're upset. Understandably, but please refrain from putting opinionated statements on there, because what does that do? If the student's carrying it down, what are they doing? Y'all see them? They're reading it, they're showing everybody, they're going down the hall, they're telling everybody what a horrible person, whatever. I mean, they're talking their little game when they're walking down to the office, but just be very specific and concise. If you have been having problems with students in your class, now is the time to call. Now is the time to make those phone calls home. Also, we don't have a 3-week progress report. We went over that, so we're looking at 6 weeks. 6 weeks is eligibility. There's a lot riding on that. There's a reduced number of grades. So if you are seeing problems or patterns of behavior developing with kids that need to be addressed, you need to call home now. Call parents now. Don't wait until it's 6 weeks in and they're getting their progress report the next day. Don't wait that late. Okay, 6 weeks grades. We gave you what the minimum for 6 weeks. So 6 weeks grades due 9/29. Minimum 1 major, 4 daily, 1 homework. 9 weeks grades. That says tomorrow, 10/13.
No, that's 2 weeks after the 26th.
Right. So I'm looking at the calendar when I put the date. I'm just saying if I type tomorrow, I'm sorry because I had a lapse or something. But or I might have been typing in. Absolutely. Talking, people walk in, or I'm trying to cut and paste, one or the other. So by the 9 weeks, minimum 2 major, 8 daily, and 2 homework. Please don't forget to put the homework grades in there. We talked about it could be something you do in class, but it needs to be coded as homework, right? If you have questions, you can email me, you can see an AP, you can talk to your department chair, skills specialist will help you with that. Okay, the next, number 10, my favorite, everyone's favorite, SLO, SGP. Okay, next Tuesday, I'm going to run school-wide ELCs in the library. You're going to come in, we're going to talk about invest and what you need to be doing for this school year. And we're going to address some issues or clarify some things maybe that you have, because I'm getting a feel that there's a lot of questions and confusion. So we're going to do our best to kind of clarify that and go over it. This is what I did with my staff, and I had to do it for a couple of years till we kind of got it down and people really had a good understanding, clear understanding of what they needed to do. So we will talk about that. I will say this, so if you are on an SLO, what do you usually use, or the majority of you use, as a tool of measurement? Exam, benchmark, right? So when do you give that benchmark? May, June, May or June? When should we put it in? May or June? Not now. So some people just waited and did not do it. My last school, we finally put it on the sign out sheet for the end of the year. Show me where you put your data in so you're done. And like, you don't have to fool with it when you come back. Now, if you're SGP, you're waiting for growth measurements. If you're AP scores, you're waiting for those to come in. Those are the people that should be waiting until the next school year to put that information in because you don't have it yet, right? So we're going to make sure this year everyone puts their stuff in a timely manner so that you don't have to go into the next year and try and find your grades, because some of you had trouble with or made comments that you were trying to find your grade book information and you didn't have access to it anymore, but that's why you put it in at the end of the school year, if it is a benchmark. Because you're dealing with it, you're looking at it, you're finalizing everything, and you can put it in easily at that time. So we'll go over that and talk more about it in depth next week. Okay, required trainings. There's like 1 billion. Yes? Does it feel like 1 billion? Because it feels like a lot to me. All right, so you recognize the home page, correct? You go to ePortal. And there's a couple of things that you have to do. And you have to remember your password, which this is going to be tricky. Yeah.
You want me to log into mine?
Yes, please. That's the downside of having everything saved, like they say, yeah. Okay, so, Mr. Lehman, did you sign your ethical stuff already? Yeah, he's a bad example. He's a good example, but he's a bad example. Okay, so up in the top corner, when you log into ePortal, it has a link in the top left-hand corner, ethical, electronic state. You click on it, and you're going to electronically sign it. I think it's, there's several up at the top that you sign electronically.
3.
There's like 3 or 4. And this harassment one, we went over these, and they're in your staff development shared folder. So you can go on and look at that. Okay, so if you'll, the other thing to look at, scroll down. Okay, right here, required annual training. You're going to look in this section, click on it. Here you go. Oh, bummer. Okay, so, oh man. Okay, so let's look at, you're going to look through the list. You're going to look and see if it says all campus staff, or does it say all professional staff, and you are going to click on the link, and you can go through the trainings, okay? So some of them, the time frame has passed, but I think they know with the hurricane we're a little behind. You need to start going through this list. If it applies to you, go through your trainings and sign off on it. Yes.
Could you please show us how you got to that screen?
Sure. Go back. Okay, so here's your e-portal when you sign in. And scroll down, employee resources, right here. Scroll down some more. And you scroll down, and it's in alphabetical order, required annual training.
And when can you click on one of the links so we can just see if it goes?
Okay, so click on the required annual training, and let's look at child abuse. Click on that. So you're going, then it gives you instructions with code and how to log in and go through that training. I'll follow up with this next Tuesday. Y'all give it a shot. See how many you can get done between now and next Tuesday, okay? But I'm going to tell you, look at the due dates, because some of them are, if I'm not mistaken, some are at the end of the actual calendar year. Some are sooner. Can you scroll down there again? Let's look at it. So go down to, okay, so you look down here. Here are the due dates. And I'm just going to tell you, don't panic. We know that we've lost 8 days. So go through and start looking for the ones that you know apply to you, that you need to do, and start kind of going through the list. Questions? Yes.
The certificates, who do we turn them to?
It depends on which training it is. So I'll tell you what, because we put this, I attached what I initially got. It looks like this, and I'll amend this document and tell you who to turn the certificates into. Okay, and I'll put this in the shared folder so you have it to refer to. Any other questions? All right. Okay, now, oh yeah, because you know what? They want to hear you, so I'll make them listen to me first. Okay. Mr. Gonzalez is going to talk about Adopt a Senior, but I want to get through my stuff first. So I have the prerogative to move my agenda items around, right? So let me go down to, we have members that represent our campus at a district level. DEAC, or it used to be called BEAC, they changed the initials. We have expired members with expired terms, and we have to re-elect members. So you need 2 teachers, 2 people in teaching position, and 1 person in a non-teaching position. So I'm going to do this as painlessly as possible, but we're going to do this right now. Oh. I don't want to do an online voting and all that. Because actually there's a meeting today. And I sent Mr. Constantio because he was an existing member. And I wanted him to go so he can get the information at the meeting and then bring it back to us. But these people, you're responsible for bringing information back to campus and sharing it, whether it's email or at a staff meeting. But those people represent. So the biggest thing, or probably the most important thing the committee members do is review the calendar. And they're also talking about changes, if there's changes in policy, that the superintendent runs these meetings. So, can we have nominations for one of the 2 teaching positions? Call it out. You can't kill anyone who nominates you.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Paz.
Who?
Mr. Paz.
Day.
Percy Day.
Number 18, you go to meetings with Dr. Bamber.
The administrators want to nominate Ms. Hinney. Ms. Hinney? No, yes? She hiding? Okay. Anybody else? I'm going to tell you, once upon a time, I was on the committee too, so, but it gives you, it does, I will tell you this, if you want to be an administrator, it's a very interesting experience, because you see teachers, staff members from all over the district, and they're talking about things that have to do with the entire district. They talk about policy changes, they talk about all kinds of things. So it is a really good experience to serve on the committee. Is that it? It's after school. Meetings start at 2, so we have to cover, if you have a 5th period, we have to cover. No other nominations? Okay, so we have 2 people to serve on our committee, Ms. Day and Ms. Hinney. Okay, now we need a non-teaching, it cannot be an AP.
But it could be a principal.
No. I attend the principal's version of those meetings already on a regular basis. So we need a non-teaching staff member nominee. Say that one more time, Ms. Static. I volunteer. Oh, Ms. Static is volunteering. It's funny, everybody's posture changed. You all went Okay, just if you were nominated, or actually if you are our member, see me right after the meeting, okay? Thank you. Okay, a couple of reminders. Some people are not taking attendance on a regular basis. So let me explain my experience this afternoon in the front office. All of a sudden the phones went crazy. Why? The phone dialer started. So I need you to be very accurate and make sure you are taking attendance every single period. And I see some people going, oh, every period. Remember, students are earning credit and they have to be sitting in your class. We don't want there to be any confusion. And then I have to field phone calls, and I have in every single building I've worked in. Why was my kid counted absent in one period and not counted absent, but the kid wasn't there all day? So within the first 20 minutes of class, I need you to take attendance. and we still haven't balanced. How many kids are we off still? 10. So we're gonna get to the point where we're gonna have to completely freeze, which means during second period, when we go into classes, we have to count. Do not send a kid anywhere unless they're bleeding or having a seizure. Everyone has to stay where they are so we can count. Because we're off. Either somebody's allowed a student to sit in their class that's not on their roll, or there's a problem with the schedule not being accurate. Either they're going to an old class or something's going on. But you should only, when you take attendance, if that kid's sitting in your class or not on your roll, you need to ask questions about where they're supposed to be. Whether that's emailing an administrator, a counselor, somebody, and so we can figure it out. Yes, question?
So we do not send them down to the counsel's office. We have to send an email and keep them in our classrooms until we can get that clarified.
Yes. Otherwise, we'll have everybody everywhere. So I would rather you email. Okay? So we will give you instructions via email and announcement, or we'll be running around and telling people. Yes.
I noticed that there's an issue with the picture photo attendance doesn't correspond with the list attendance. So who do we ask to talk to about e-school attendance questions, like fixing them? E-school.
That.
So maybe I have 10 students that I can take. I see their pictures, but I actually have 15 students in my class.
And there's no picture in there because they're new.
As soon as all the ID badges, everything's cleared up, we'll send those pictures back to student services.
So when you have students enroll and they've not previously been in the system, they're not gonna have a picture in there.
No.
So if
They're not even showing, their name isn't even showing on the picture part.
They're not on your roll.
if they're, okay, if, number one, their name and ID number needs to be on your class roster. If it's not on your class roster, they're probably not supposed to be sitting in your class. Pictures are a whole nother thing, because there's no automatic picture that uploads when we enroll kids.
I'm noticing that the list, the list is correct if you go to the list view, but the picture view has students missing from it. And I usually take my attendance by the picture view, because I like to see their faces.
Oh, wait, don't use a picture.
Not yet, not yet.
What I'm telling you is, if the kid is not previously in the system, they're not gonna have, the picture's not gonna pop up, so it's inaccurate.
Okay.
You need to use the list view with the student ID. I know the picture is easier, but some of those pictures.
Picture's not
fifth grade.
uploaded yet. They're taking all the badges. As soon as all the
So
badges are
let us
done,
get the
then that
IDs
pictures will be
situated
uploaded into
and
each
upload the pictures and try
pictures
to
are not
clarify
ready
that, but in the meantime,
wait till
you
all
need
the
to
badges
use the
go
list when you're taking
before we
attendance.
upload the pictures.
Okay, so I've noticed a couple of things
They don't, we gotta get
I
their
want to
badges first. We
clarify
gotta take them
about
to
cell
school
phones.
first.
Please listen
That's
carefully.
why we're doing all the badges. Once all the badges are
So,
done, then we'll
I've
send it
had
to the
many
district
people
to
come
send
up
all
to
their
me
pictures to
and
the
thank me for changing the policy in cell phones, and on the flip side, I had a student in my office last week before the game who was trying to ask me 25 questions, and she's not happy with the cell phone policy. So, I know, I just explained what my stand was. Anyway, we had a nice little conversation, but I still didn't change my mind. So, if you have a student who's violating cell phone policy, please do not take the phone up and put it in your desk.
There's no picture of the kid.
Who's watching you? Everybody. So, and I've had this happen multiple times, and it's not been good. Kids watch, they see where you're putting things. That goes for fundraising money, that goes for everything. They watch everything you're doing, and you think you're being slick, but I'm telling you, they know what you're doing. So you need to call, send a student, let the office office know that you have a cell phone that needs to be picked up. Okay? Because we need to take it, log it, put it in the vault. Because if someone takes it out of your desk, the parent is going to want you to pay for it. I've heard this multiple times. Now, I'm going to do everything within my power, but if you're negligent in following the procedure, it's going to be hard for me to back you up in a conversation with a parent. And some of those phones, as we've discussed, and your phones are very expensive, and so you really want to handle it correctly. But don't hold on to that, don't store them anywhere, don't put them in your desk, try and pass it off like a hot potato, just give it to the next, give it to an administrator, and let us handle it, okay? The other thing is, walking down the hall right before dismissal, I see kids everywhere. So we talked about at the beginning of the year, first 15, last 15. Y'all remember that? That was pre-hurricane. First 15, last 15. So that means when you get kids and you're getting your class started, you don't let them go anywhere for the first 15 minutes. They need to be focused on your warm-up, getting ready for class. You need to be taking attendance, the whole nine. Last 15, same thing. You need to be wrapping it up. You need to be doing your closure activity, having them put up Chromebooks, whatever your procedures are to close out your class. They shouldn't be walking the halls or going to the restroom. None of that. So it keeps traffic down. Although the halls are looking really well, they're looking good. Y'all are doing a great job with that. We see a handful of roamers, but they're the kids that would probably be doing it anyway. And skippers, so we're trying to catch them and work with them, but if you guys can follow the first to last 15, then I think we can keep things relatively clear and handle the kids that are in the middle of class who aren't where they're supposed to be. PSAT, there's a PowerPoint. I included it in the shared folder. We're going to show that at third period to your classes on Thursday. So they can be prepared for the upcoming PSAT, they understand what it's about, and then if you need a counselor to come and talk to some kids, if you don't understand, we can have someone come and help you out. Okay? Let's see. Okay, so now we're going to talk about adopt a senior. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Nathan, while he's setting up, you want to talk about your parking? So one of the last items on the list, Mr. Nathan's going to talk about parking stickers, and while Mr. Gonzalez is setting up.
How's everybody doing? I won't be too long. If you haven't done so already, it's very important that you receive your sticker from 122 from Ms. MacArthur. On tomorrow, Mr. Luke will be, as we call it, lighting up the parking lot. You may end up with a sticker on your car if you do not have your sticker. If you have any issues, you need to come by and speak with me if you need it. But you need to make sure your sticker is on your car and it's visible so Mr. Luke can see it. He'll be putting it on every car in the parking lot, whether it's student, faculty, staff, custodians. If it's a car in the parking lot and you do not have a sticker, you're going to receive a nice orange sticker. It's pretty big. I'm going to tell you right now, it's kind of hard to get off. Now, the other thing is, as of today, between myself and Ms. Peterson, we only have one letter from a doctor. So that means only one person right now has permission to park in the front. So if you're parked in the front, you have not been given permission, you will receive a sticker as well. Please understand there is handicap parking on that side. It's actually more than in the front, and it's on a first come, first basis. Okay, so please know and understand that. If you have any questions, please come by and see me. Okay?
Is it cash only on the
parking stickers?
No, there is, it's not a cost.
We don't have to pay for our parking stickers?
No, ma'am.
Oh, wow, okay.
That's students.
I don't know why I thought we did.
That may be a good idea, huh? No. Well, actually, it'll be, come see me about 10
Okay. Yeah, right. That's why I kept not getting mine, because I kind of needed it.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm going to try to go quickly because I know we're all ready to go. I'm very nervous. I've never spoken to a crowd this big before. I'm Caesar. I'm the testing coordinator. One of them, my coworker, is not here today. Her baby's sick, but when she's here, I'll introduce you. Adopt a Senior. We have a lot of returning people that know what the program is, and I'm not going to go super into detail. But new people, if you want to know more, you can come see me. It's not a big deal. There were concerns brought up with Adopt a Senior. Mainly that people have started focusing on spoiling the kids versus actually helping guide them academically. So we're just going to run through this real quick. It was started in 2007. I was here, I was not over it, Cindy Rogers was. It was implemented to combat the malaise. I just really like that word. But see, you're right. Our kids have a lot to deal with, right? Some have to work to support people, some have to work to live alone. We are kind of a second parent, which is why we're adopting them. It creates a family climate, sometimes a competitive family climate. That's not intentional, it just kind of happens. The main point has been lost. I just kept thinking it's like a garden. It's very pretty to look at, but right now it's overgrown, so we need to prune it back a little bit. We need to go back to its roots so it can flourish, right? I know I'm pretty. Okay, so what's going to stay the same? You will still have a family. I will still give you a lanyard for them. This time it will say seniors. Last year it did not. You'll still get a certificate. If someone wants to design it, go for it. I only have enough lanyards, one per kid, right? We're still going to do a Google form adoption. Some people did not like this. This is easier for me though, so you'll get over it. We will still have 2 family days, one per semester, right? We'll have senior weeks, and on those weeks we'll have family days. What's different though, it's a little bit different. I usually do check-in day reminders. I'm gonna actually make more of an effort this year to have corny names for them, like NG November, or so you wanna check on your kids. The main point of the program is do not ignore them, because our children talk. I mean, you see how quickly word spread that we weren't doing the program this year, right? I know you heard about it. A bunch of the kids were like, oh, we're not doing it. Oh, Ms. Peterson killed it. That's not what happened at all. And I felt really bad because they were asking me. We wanted to, okay. So the new stuff. We're setting a spending limit. This year, you can spend money on your kids. We're not telling you you can't. What we are telling you is that you can only spend $5 per child on a family day. Are we okay with this? Yeah. If you're not, shoot me an email. I will gladly talk to you about it. We're looking for more creativity when it comes to making your family stand out. So, just to point at a few examples, Ms. Velasquez last year had fashions. They didn't have t-shirts. She made, it was paper or was it actual ribbon?
It was actually ribbon.
Okay, so she's a little extra. She had actual ribbon. But we have butcher paper. And if you look at the Science NHS, they make green sashes to give to their members. That's free. Go for it. Miss Jones one year had a giant picture of her family on a poster, and all her kids had her face. like Lisa Jones's kid, her giant face right there hanging around her. We're looking, not that in real life, her face is giant, the picture is giant. So anything like that, like, let your juices flow. I myself have issues with creativity. So, right now we're kind of looking at, originally we were gonna say no family t-shirts. But we met with the kids. Ms. Jones and I had a meeting with the kids, and when we said no t-shirts, it was kind of like we shot their dog. So right now we're looking at a school-wide family t-shirt thing. So we're looking at ordering in bulk and having you decorate. Does that make sense? Yeah. Again, more to come, you know. And we're looking at more focus on academia. This year's current academia and maybe future. We know not all our kids want to go to college. They don't all want to go to trade school. But you can at least kind of push them, you know? Like, oh, I'm gonna go work construction. Well, instead of working construction, maybe you look at a trade. Like a few of my boys are going to electrician school. Any ideas are welcome. Shoot me an email. I would love you for it. Our end goal. We have 896 seniors right now. We really, really, really want them all to graduate. We're looking for higher attendance from our seniors. You guys know last year, well, it's a little shaky. Okay? This year, we want to push them. We want phone calls. We want you to actually be like their parents and be like, where were you? Why weren't you here on time? What's going on? We want more student involvement and pride in the school. I heard a lot of comments last year how the kids don't have any school pride. A big chunk of that, you need to push them to it. Like, hey, stop being a loser. Go to a game. I think that's... Oh, no. Okay. This is not a full timeline. I will send out a full timeline. We're looking at adoption to open on October 6th. I see a lot of people writing that down. It slipped my mind that this is a student holiday, but that makes it better, right?
Yeah.
So at 5 a.m., I will send out the link to the Google form, and you guys can go bananas. Before this, I will send out a list of our seniors. We're trying to finalize everything. T-shirt creation day. Once I know more, you will know more. We'll have a kickoff week. Senior night at the football game is November 9th, I believe, right? So we're looking at senior week to be that week. So that way you can push your kids to go where? To the football game. You guys are supposed to yell that. And then monthly check-in days will come. And again, this is not anything I'm requiring you to do. This is not anything they're requiring you to do. But if you choose to participate, please don't ignore your babies. Because they know when they're being ignored. I think that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Okay, a couple of things. So, this whole adopt a senior thing is quite interesting to me, that you would be willing to get on a computer at 5 a.m. like you're trying to buy a concert ticket and grab your kids and adopt them. Okay, so it's cool, but I do want to put emphasis on gift of time.
Yes.
Gift of time, not monetary gifts, because it becomes inequitable and kids notice that. It should not be a burden to you financially. I know people get overzealous and very competitive, but try and find another way to make sure your kids know that you love them and you're looking out for them. Okay? Just 3 reminders. I mentioned this. If you want to be, if you're an aspiring administrator, please sign up here. If you want to be on the Sunshine Fund Committee, sign up here before you leave. And if you want to be on the Professional and Paraprofessional of the Month Committee, sign up here. Please make sure that you sign in over here. If you don't, you're going to get an email that you need to watch this again on Schoology. So make sure you sign in. Other than that, have a great afternoon. Thank you.